This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
And welcome back, everybody. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes, and this is episode 3 with Jay Painter, and we're going to carry on and get right into the next adventure and time spent as a stagehand for Jay Painter, which we've kind of, in the break here, we were trying to discuss and figure out, and it sounds like it was Splash. We moved on to Splash, or you moved on to Splash. I came years later, but...
Feel the magic come alive.
Feel the magic come alive. Splash. Yeah. So, you were hired in there. Who hired you?
Actually, Marty hired me.
Marty Romley?
Yep.
Wow.
Barbara didn't know about it. She just came out to the laser. Well, who's running the laser? And she came and found me. And she said, well, who hired you? And I said, Marty Romley. And she just went off the deep end.
Yeah, that wasn't his job to do.
No, but I had worked for him before, and he knew my work. He liked the way I did the beams and how I ran the laser, and so he insisted on having me. So
I mean, I understand that side, but, he wasn't allowed to hire, an IA guy there. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I can imagine Barbara had a few words to say to him.
Well, actually, he hired me, and then she stepped in and had the IA take over the position. So it worked out for the better for me.
Oh, okay. So it was a non-IA position at first?
Yeah.
Okay, and then she turned it into an IA position.
Right.
Oh, good for her. That's a way to do it, Same thing with Q Caller. She turned that into a IA position.
Yeah. Tom Walker.
Oh, that's a name I forgot. I hadn't thought about that in quite some time.
He, after about a week, didn't even look at the stage or at the script. He memorized the whole cue call, like the lyrics to a song.
Yep.
And he never missed.
Yeah, he was there about a year or two while I was there when I first came over, and then he left. I don't know what had happened. Something had happened. He just left.
I don't remember either.
I think him and AD may have gotten into it.
That's been known to happen.
Yeah, only a couple hundred. Oh, once or twice. Yeah. No, that's interesting. So you did lasers. I remember you doing the lasers, and then Gibbs was doing it also, and you were doing
Very much.
Very Lights. You and Joe Lavatier. And interesting stuff. And I don't remember if you were still there. I think you were there when I got there in 88 and I left in 94. When did you leave Splash?
I don't remember the year, to be honest with you.
I was just trying to remember if you were still there or you had left because you were going over to Foy after Riviera.
Right.
I just can't remember if you left to go to Foy before me or when I went over to the Las Vegas Hilton. And then I got to Las Vegas Hilton and I started cleaning off the Splash stage and bringing everybody over to the Hilton. Criswell and others, I just started dragging them over. Come on over and work for me.
Didn't get many refusals.
No. That was a very interesting place to work. The only water show until, what was it, O. When O opened up, that was about the end of Splash as far as a water show. Because, their stage was this huge arena of water and effects, and then Splash was a little tank on stage with some stuff flying out of the floor. Not really a comparison.
Well, it certainly was a trendsetter when it first opened.
Oh boy, was it. Every night was filled. Every show, 2 shows a night, 7 days a week. That showroom was filled for almost all the 6 years I was there, and then it was open for a couple years before I got there.
Yeah.
So
An aquacade of music and dance.
yeah. That was one of those shows, if you don't know what to throw at the number, you throw everything at the number. Laser, smoke, pyro, water effects.
That was Jeff Kutash's trademark.
Yeah. What was it? One of those numbers they're putting in, I think it was one of Michael Jackson's, off one of the albums, Thriller had already come and gone, and it was on to the next one, Dangerous or something like that. And you got the dancers out there just dancing like maniacs. You got pyro going off. You got smoke. You got water effects. Dry ice on the deck. You've got lights going crazy. Vera lights are just going bananas, breaking about every 5 seconds because they're going so fast. And Jeff Kutash turns around to the production table around him and says, "I'm not feeling it's missing something. There's nothing else left to throw at it." It's you've maxed out. There's nothing left.
I
in the
remember
show.
he. What was the light guy's name?
Oh, from very light.
Chris
You're
Cook.
talking. Yeah. Oh,
Chris
Chris
Cook.
Cook. Yeah.
I remember Kutesh kept asking for shit, and finally he gets on the intercom and says, "I hate to tell you this, Jeff, but I'm fresh out of miracles."
What else can you say? It was like, yeah. Sometimes less is more. And it's like all that's left is a kitchen sink to put on there. And actually, I'm going to jump forward just on a story real quick for you folks. At the Las Vegas Hilton, we had Twisted Sister. And Dee Snider is like, this number, I want just everything going crazy and everything just everything magical. It's like, I want to rock. Boom, 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 boom. And that's when he wanted just lights going crazy, anything we had, just throw it into. And he says, I want everything in the kitchen sink. Well, Jerry Helmuth and I actually rigged up a kitchen sink. And he flew it in partway into the number. And Dee Snider turns around while he's with his band, looks up and sees it and starts laughing and screaming, "That's what I want, the kitchen sink." Some
Who
actually
was that blonde that worked? She was in the lounge, and she looked almost like Dee Snider's sister, and I can't remember her name, but she was a hell of a singer.
Oh, was that on Sin?
It was in the lounge.
Sin City, whatever the.
It might have been.
Yeah, she was absolutely fantastic. I cannot remember her name, but yeah, she was. She looked great, and man, she could sing.
Dang, she could sing, boy.
Whew. Yeah, and just incredible pipes on that girl, man. She could just belt them out and just. Yeah. So, anyways, Riviera.
Yeah.
We getting sidetracked a little here and there, but that's okay. That's what this show is. We're talking showbiz. So then you move over to the Foy. Well, we were talking about, there was a time period where we do about a year or two. We did Star Policy once a month,
Right.
4 days a month. It was 24 days of Splash, 4 days of Star Policy, then 24 days, then 24, 4. Boy, that was vicious.
Yeah, it was.
That was to take that show down, number one, and then put in a Paul Anka or a Frank Sinatra, or Liza Minnelli, George Burns, Jerry Lewis, Tony Orlando. I mean, on and on and on we go. That room was the first time I ran sound for this guy that I thought was an absolute insane maniac, and I'd never laughed so hard in my life. And it was Jerry Van Dyke.
Really? I don't remember working him.
Yeah, he opened the show for one of the acts, and I can't remember who it was. He was crazy. That guy, watch him on Coach. You see him, do he's the assistant coach, and he's on Coach, and he's acting all crazy. That's him.
I can remember.
He was so funny, though. I'm a side ache funny. After he only did 25 minutes.
I can remember a couple of those. I remember. It skipped off the lake.
There we go. And you know who I learned to just really be amazed by, and he'd been around forever, was Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
He was a jerk. I'll tell you that for right now. He was pretty much a jerk. He never had a problem with me running his sound. But I'd watch his show and everything he did every night. So close. That man was a master at timing, at delivery, at selection of the material and stuff like that for the audience. I've never seen anybody like him. He was just so good. All those years and doing all these things, man, he was just so good absolutely at the right second, he'd drop the next line on you. Never the same every night. He just knew exactly when the
Timing.
they hit it on the money. Brilliant, But, yeah, that was some good times there. Boy, that was murderous, though. those big load-ins and load-outs, and then turning it right back into splash or taking it out of splash into.
It was a pain in the butt. We made a lot of money.
Oh boy, did we make some dough! We made some dough. All was good. So, Foy. No, most people don't know who Foy is. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Foy?
Okay, Peter Foy came. He worked for Kirby in England. He did theatrical flying, and he left Kirby in England and came over here. And I think about 1948. And the first Peter Pan he flew was Mary Martin. And I can remember a story that there was a guy named Cohen. They called him Copperplea Cohen because he couldn't run the rope right. And it got so bad they had to put mattresses on either side of the wall. So if he threw her too far off stage, she'd hit the mattress and not the wall. And stenciled on the wall on one side, I think it was stage left, there's a sign that said, Mary Martin slapped here.
That's funny. That's a good play on words right there.
Yeah, Foy was very interesting. I got, God, I don't know how many countries I got to go hauling Foy shows around.
Because it was Gary. I know, among the people I knew that worked for Foy was you, Gary, Lee Ellis. I think that's the only three people I knew from Foy.
Right.
I know there was others that did other shows and stuff like that, but those were the three that we would do shows in our hotel for, like, what was that one that we did? Oh, Primetime Country, where you had to fly. Can't remember his name. He was married to the country singer for a while there.
I think I remember that. That's where
And
he didn't pay attention when
and
he
you
lifted.
told him, you said, do not, and I was there when Gary Chapman, you told him, Gary, do not put your hands in front of you. You're going to be pretend like you're doing a Superman, but do not put your hands in front of you. You'll do a face plant.
And he did.
He put his hands in face, and he did a face plant right on the stage. And they went away to break. He comes back. He's got an ice pack on the side of his face.
And he made me and Lee come out for the finale, for the bows.
And say, it's not their fault I did it. They told me not to do it, and I did it anyway. That's why I got this big old knot on my face.
And who was the guy's name that cracked? He says, well, I ain't seen nobody ever injured on stage before. I forget who said that, but boy, I felt crushed. Because he punished us. He made us come out and take the bows.
Yeah. Brad was working with you guys on that. You guys looked like, a crew they found off the street. Because they don't realize that you guys had to do climbing. You had to go all. It wasn't. You wore suits doing this type of stuff. You had to wear clothes. You didn't care if they got dirty and messed up
Torn or whatever.
Because you're climbing up around in the rafters, hanging flying equipment. Funny stuff. Do not put your hands out. Put my hands out. Blap on the stage.
Gravity works.
Yeah, and I saw that from the side. I was like, "Pfft, some people just don't listen, because because one of those things that happens, of course, their side panics and goes, well, what happened? I said, he did what he was told not to do. End of story, guys. I don't know what to tell you. That's why they had the big talk. Do not put your, and he did it anyway. Oh, well. Those things happen. So all the countries you went to, all over the world, huh?
Went to Taiwan. Been to Korea twice. A lot of European countries. Sweden, Switzerland. I got around with Foy.
Was that doing particular shows, or was that just doing for industrial? I mean, or just anything that came up, they wanted flying.
Sometimes I would do shows, and sometimes I would just go do an install and then fly back a month later and take the stuff out. And there were a lot of times when they would take the shit down, bundle it into a shit, wrap some rope around it, throw it on the truck. And, of course, the equipment got ruined that way. But there wasn't anything we could do because they didn't have it in the contract that we had to take it out. They finally figured it out.
To put it in the contract that you guys had to take it out.
Yeah.
So to quit getting damaged, yeah. Well, if after it costs some people a few dollars a few times, I imagine that's what it's like, well, we better put this in. So, rest in peace, Gary Foy, friend of ours. He had an aneurysm, right?
Yeah, brain aneurysm.
Not a way to go.
No. I don't think he felt anything though, because I think he went comatose and just died in his sleep.
Yeah, I think that's what happens a lot. It's just, they lose consciousness, comatose, boom, gone. That's what happened to my grandpa Lee. Oh, we haven't even talked about him a little bit. He worked for my grandpa Lee back at Stage Sound and Equipment back in the 60s.
Yeah, and your Uncle Gordon.
And my Uncle Gordon, you've got quite the history with the Hayes family, too.
Well,
Been around a few of us.
yeah. Well, your Uncle Gordon's the one that got me interested in sound professionally, so I owe that to him.
He was a good mentor towards me, too. Really locked down signal flow and some rules of audio and how to set your board up. And, certain things that are just basic, but once you got the basics down, now you're just going to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
not everybody can mix a show well. Everyone always thinks, oh, you just push these faders up and do that. No.
No. It don't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
First of all, you have feedback.
You have all kinds of things fighting you. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed my time in audio too. I tried to be, I was in my 20s when I went into that stuff, and I wanted to be the best sound guy in town.
You probably were at one point.
I don't know. There's some really good guys out there, but it's one of those things between the sound. You've been there. It's like, well, who does run the best sound in the town? I gave it my shot. I thought I did a pretty dang good job, and
I used to answer, we all do.
yep. Who runs it the best? We all do. Yeah. Some guys, though, you just shake your head and go, phew, go back to passing microphones out, guys.
Yeah, I can remember a couple of those. What was it? Imperial Palace. Their guy was
Pretty bad, huh?
pretty bad.
The term I heard one time from one of the youngsters that
No, it wasn't Imperial Palace. It was Vegas World
Vegas World.
up at the end of the strip.
Yeah.
I remember we went to Bowart's Ball there one year, and
Explain Boart's ball for anybody who doesn't understand what that is.
it's a celebration of Halloween, generally attended to by gay people.
The craziest show of the year, basically.
I remember I went there and I had to go to the bathroom, and there were so many cross-dressers in there. I didn't know which bathroom I was in because both of them looked like they were full of women. I finally went out and peed on the fire escape.
Well, yeah. Yeah, there was costume parties. It was competitions. It was it was everything you could think of. This is the Sodom and Gomorrah of the world. Yep, Boart's Ball.
I think the funniest one
But they
I
were
ever
hilarious
saw
and fun.
Kenny Kerr came out as a Jewish American princess.
Give me a second on that. Jewish American princess. Okay, let's run with that.
Okay, well, the bit was funny as hell, and I don't think many people got it, but he dressed up like a princess in a pink gown, and he had the magic wand, and it was just fucking hilarious. Sorry. And it was lost on 99% of the audience. Kenny Kerr, if nobody knows, was the star of Boylesque that was originally at the Silver
Silver Slipper.
Slipper, yeah.
Yeah. The old commercials.
Well, they're closed.
Yeah,
They've
I
been
mean,
gone for years.
remember those old commercials? It was like, oh, I've got to get a new job. Well, my mom still thinks I'm a cop in L.A. As they're turning themselves into women. It's just funny stuff. I worked a show called Flamboyant Follies, Breck Wall's Flamboyant Follies down at the Mint for a year.
Oh, you got to work with Breck Wall?
For quite a while, yeah. Became a very dear friend, and yeah, good guy. I love Breck Wall.
Did you do the bit at one of the hotels on Fremont Street where they had curtained off a stage? Was that was Wayne Newton? Was that you?
I worked at the Mint downtown.
I think that's where it was.
The Merriment. I did that for 3 years, and
Okay, but they had set a stage up near the front of the building. You could see it from the glass windows, and they had cordoned it off, and they'd made some kind of a mini showroom out of it. And I don't remember who played there.
I don't know what year that'd be. I was at the Mint in '84, '5, '6. Then I got my walking papers from someone who didn't care for me too much.
That's not hard to find in this business.
No, and the reason why is and I get it because everybody, all the performers, I'd go and I'd do sound for stuff like that, and my boss that was down there would do shows here and there too, and all the acts would sit there and go, want me to do theirs, run sound for them.
Yep.
And yeah, it didn't take long. It was like, got to get rid of this guy because he's going to take my job thing.
Who was that guy? Terry Fader pulled that crap with a guitar player I worked with years ago. Hired him, and then as soon as his guitar player was freed up from another show, he fired Henry and moved the other guy in. And yeah, that was too bad. Being a musician, not in the union, is a very difficult task in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, not much of a musicians local in town anymore. 369 doesn't pretty much exist anymore. I mean, for shows that need strings and all the other stuff like that, they still have a hiring hall per se that will call people up and say, Johnny Mathis needs, 4 violins, 4 violas, blah, blah, blah down the line.
Right. They had a theater in that building. Did you ever go to any of the concerts they gave?
Which where at?
The Musicians Union.
Oh, no.
Well,
I didn't know they had one.
They had every Saturday they would have a concert, and all the out-of-work musicians would come together and do a jam session.
Oh, that would have been
And
cool.
It was amazing.
Top end musicians, man. That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know about that. But that doesn't matter a whole lot, I guess. Check down. We got about 5 minutes left on this episode.
Okay, who broke the Musicians Union out anyway? Did that happen at the Hilton?
That was the guy that Las Vegas Hilton, the president. I can't remember his name, but he had said, years before that, first thing we get rid of the musicians and we get rid of the stagehands. Well, he was gone before he got to the stagehands.
Yeah, his name is right on the tip of my tongue.
Giovenco or something like that.
No.
I can't remember.
It'll come to me right when we're through.
Yeah. But that's they wanted to get rid of the unions and the stagehands, the entertainment unions. Basically, they wanted to have no stagehands, stuff like that.
Well, that was the Holy Grail for the Nevada Resort Association for years.
Yep.
It used to. At one point, we all negotiated together, and the NRA moved in and they started staggering the contract dates so that only one showroom would go into negotiations at a time, and that caused a lot of unemployment.
Yeah, you had more clout when you all went out together because the other way was, well, we're gonna shut our room down for a month, let these guys walk a picket line if we have to, but then we'll open up, and then your turn will be next, and then your whatever like that. It's people don't understand. These guys all talk. They all get together. They all have conversations. They decide what they want to try to do and accomplish. And that's what happens.
They plot.
Yeah, they plot it out, and here's what we're going to do. Now, some people say, "Oh, that's terrible. They shouldn't do that." No, it's just business. They're allowed to do it. We have to learn how to be smarter than that, and how to not let them do that type of stuff and get away with it. So, it's just the yin and the yang of life in everything you do. And the way you fix that is a lot of people want to go in and say, well, we should do a closed shop state instead of right to work. No, well, if your skills within your local aren't as good as the guys that aren't in your local, then why do you exist? Up your game. Don't make it.
Exactly.
Don't lower the standards and say here's what we should do. Here's as high as you're allowed to. Let's up the standards so that we keep getting better. I just don't understand the mentality of so many, of labor unions when they do that. Anyway, so then, how many years did you do FOI?
I think it was about 9 years. I was Peter's head electrician for quite a while. And after they discovered that I could work on the bench, they quit sending me out. So I got tied to the workbench in the shop.
Well, you get to stay home, but that would get a little bit.
Well, part of the allure was I got to see Korea and Japan and Sweden and all those places where we had to go set shows up.
Yeah, get paid to go see them.
Yeah. The pay wasn't what it could have been, but it was sure fun.
And after 9 years at Foy, you got the pleasure of coming to the Las Vegas Hilton.
Yeah, I think I was there about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Don Fouché, you hired me. You told Don Fouché to hire me.
We were talking about that earlier, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Laser.
It was somebody was talking about you, and I said Jay Painter does lasers, and I don't remember if Don Fouché said to me, who do you know that does, I can't remember the whole conversation.
Right.
That was 30 years ago plus, almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't remember that part of the conversations, but I do remember that we had a discussion and I threw your name out, and then you were there.
Yeah. And that was kind of difficult too, because I was working for Foy at the time, and Don told me to show up at 6 o'clock the next morning, and I had to quit Foy without giving them notice, and I always felt bad about that because they treated me pretty good, but they eventually got over it because he says, "Well, why did you go?" And I said, "Well, I'm making $6,000 more a year. That's why."
Yeah. Never go someplace where you're not making at least 5,000 more a year. When I went to the Hilton from the Riviera from Splash, I did the math on it, and I was going to make 25 to 30,000 more a year.
Wow.
So I went, decisions.
I know.
You want me to do this basically a lot of the same stuff I'm doing here at the Riviera, but you want me to do it at the Hilton? Yeah. And you're going to pay me this much more? Yeah. I'm going to go turn my notice in right now.
Yeah.
And I did my last 2 weeks there and
Never looked back.
yep, did 30 years at the Hilton or Westgate, Las Vegas Hilton, Westgate, whatever. It's Westgate now.
Do you remember when the sign blew over?
The sign blew over the week before I went to work there.
Because it was supposed to be the world's tallest sign right after they finished it. And that windstorm came through and it became the world's longest sign.
Yeah, spread out over a big area.
Yeah.
I looked at that so many times going into work at the Riviera, my last week or so at the Riviera, and when they're building it, and I kept on thinking, that design is like a tuning fork. Knowing a little bit about engineering and having did architect school and stuff like that, I'd look at it and go, that's like a big tuning fork. Something.
Well, the other problem is all the steel in it was 2-inch angle iron. There was no steel beam at the core of the sign.
Yeah, and all that it went from small bottom to this huge. It fanned out to this huge top that said Hilton across the top. Looked amazing. It was great looking.
Yeah.
But once the wind got the dynamics in that tuning fork moving, and it started twisting and twist back, forth, faster, bam! It just fell over. Half of that sign is still within the new sign. They just encased it. So you got the old sign there, and then around it, the big gold one they have up right now. Have you seen that one?
I haven't been to Vegas for like 12 years.
Well, the one that's there now, they put up for Star Trek, the adventure stuff, and it was bigger, like almost twice the size. It was huge. The thing is huge, and the old sign is sitting inside of it. That's how big it is. It sits inside, and it's like nothing inside this thing. It's a monster, but it's held up. It stays up.
What was it? The Star Trek, the adventure or something?
Yeah.
The room at the other end of the casino.
Yep.
I remember when they finally decided they wanted lasers, so they dropped the whatever it was dividing the balcony. There was a balcony or a bridge that went over the entrance, and they had it boarded up. And as soon as they got together, they decided they wanted lasers in there. So the first thing I did was plant 4 mirrors on the top of that bridge and focus beams in. I only put 4 beams in there, but if you work them fast enough, they look great.
Lasers, all kinds of fun stuff there. Yeah, that was fun. That Star Trek thing there. Interesting things went on at that hotel. When it was a Hilton, a real Hilton, it was like bottomless pits on the money. They just it had so much money. They just
Yeah.
the Hilton just threw money at stuff and made sure it happened on time and never even blinked. You know.
The thing that I wish that I had gotten in on, and I was a day late, when they closed off the room for the Star Trek experience, they had what they called storm windows on the bar. Have you ever seen one? It's 2 sections of glass. You've seen tubes where they take broken pieces of glass and fill them
Oh,
in
yeah.
the tube,
Yeah.
and it crackles. Well, they called them storm windows, and they were about 30 of them in the bar right as you went in. And when they boarded that place up, I had a key, and I was like a day late getting there to grab one of them damn things.
Yeah, when the neon passes through that stuff and it's got all that glass in there, it just does all this. It looks like
It
it
doesn't
dances in there.
have,
Just
it doesn't
does-
have a direct route, and it's always looking for the.
It's like lightning going through these things, and
Yeah.
it's the coolest look. It really does look cool. It's
I remember they had a couple of big tube cylinders when you walked into the Star Trek casino.
and well, why don't you hold that story for just a second here?
All right.
We're going to get back into one more episode. I think we can get one more episode and get some time done here. So until then, Talbot, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.